We continue our celebration of 70 years of KTTC with a look back at some memorable and historic weather events that have left their mark on the minds and the landscape in our area.
Rochester experienced its worst natural disaster in nearly 100 years in 1978 when massive flooding took place overnight between July 5th and 6th. A large band of locally heavy rain moved from Dodge County toward Winona County in the afternoon, dumping 6 to 7 inches of rainfall. The official total was 6.74 inches at the Rochester International Airport.
Well, it's very dramatic. It's the worst flood we've ever had in the history of the city of Rochester.
The South Fork of the Zumbro River and its tributaries swelled quickly. A quarter of the city was flooded, and most of those areas were inundated with 6 feet of fast-moving floodwater.
I went to work the morning after all the rain, and there was no electricity, so we didn't have to work. And when we came out from behind Ampey and turned going north on 3rd Avenue, the waves about 3 blocks down were, I bet you they were 6-foot swell.
The devastating flood of 1978 prompted the construction of a $92 million flood control project by the Army Corps of Engineers that was completed in 1995. Another devastating flood event happened in southeastern Minnesota almost 30 years later.
Be ready to evacuate, be ready to get yourself safe.
Torrential rain developed along a stalled front in the area the weekend of August 18th and 19th in 2007. A stationary band of very heavy rainfall produced rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour.
But with that much rain, nothing's going to stop it.
The incredible deluge of nonstop rainfall led to massive, widespread flooding, mudslides, and road closure. 7 people were killed. The hardest hit town was Rushford, where mudslides and intense urban flooding damaged hundreds of homes and businesses. Repairs to the city took several months at a cost of around $200 million.
You got 3-4 houses in town where the basements caved in on them to where I'm sure they're probably not going to be condemned.
What do you need right now then? Power.
Power and water. Power and water.
A new state record was set for 24-hour rainfall in Hoka with 15.1 inches reported.
The Halloween of 1991 is not one many people will forget in their lifetime. Between October 31st and November 2nd, the blizzard and ice storm brought 3 to 10 inches of snowfall and 2 to 3 inches of ice across southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa.
Everything had ice on it. You had to bang the ice off to work on anything.
Tens of thousands of homes were left without power as many power lines and poles snapped under the weight of ice and snow.
Very eerie to hear the crackling of the branches falling.
Winds gusted up to 60 miles per hour, creating blizzard conditions and brought the region to a standstill for several days. Another memorable snow event happened between May 1st and 3rd of 2013. A potent spring storm system brought an unwelcomed amount of heavy snowfall to southeast Minnesota very late in the season.
I've lived in Minnesota now since 1957, and I've seen, like everybody, a few May sprinkles, but is anybody alive? Has anybody alive seen a storm like this?
Temperatures plummeted from the 70s and 80s to only the 40s behind a passing cold front. With ample cold air, our area saw wet and very heavy snow with snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour at times.
It was raining in Decorah, and we got about 10 miles out of Decorah, and it was just miserable.
Despite the warm grounds, travel was difficult and dangerous as roads and sidewalks became snow-covered and slick. KTTC received 13 inches of snow during that event, and Rochester set a new record snowfall amount for May 2nd with 14 inches.
In December, we are normally tracking snowfall, but December 15th, 2021 was a completely different story.
December is just not likely what we should ever be seeing for this kind of weather in Minnesota. It's certainly unlike any tornado experience I've had for surveying.
December 15th, 2021 is a night that many of us will never forget. So we had an extremely strong derecho that moved across the upper Midwest, and we had over 30 confirmed tornadoes across southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa. A lot of the tornadoes were either EF0 or EF1s, but we did have several different EF2s, one in Freeborn County right near Heartland.
We have no injuries. We've got some significant damage at residences and farm places.
Now, there's a lot of stats to go along with this derecho that impacted us just a couple of years ago. Nationally here, this is the first December derecho ever recorded in history in the United States. Now, here in the Midwest, we had 564 severe wind reports. That means we're looking at 64 reports of 75-mile-per-hour plus winds. That's the most ever. In Iowa, 2020, we had 53 reports of those strong winds at 75 miles per hour. This was the first December tornado ever recorded in the state of Minnesota. We had 20+ tornadoes. That's the 4th largest outbreak. And again, this happened in December. Now, locally, this was the largest tornado outbreak on record. Locally, we had 18 reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds. We had 8 reports of 80-mile-per-hour winds, and Rochester registered its second highest wind gusts at 70 miles per hour.
I really wasn't expecting that this time of year. It doesn't seem right.
This is really a really good community. Rudd's awesome. Small as we are, there's a lot of people who actually came out and from all over the area right here, you know, all the surrounding communities came out and helped us out.
Now, December 15th is a night that many of us won't forget, but some of us won't forget a night just 4 months later.
So we do have this confirmed now from the National Weather Service. I mean, we can see it here on our live footage here. So we can see the tornado making it down to the ground. We see the debris here coming, and this is not what we want to see here tonight.
Right near Stacyville.
Yep. So yeah, okay, we're staying with us because if we see the rotation, they see the rotation.
Our most recent tornado outbreak was back on April 12th of 2022 with 11 confirmed tornadoes across the KTTC viewing area. So that's in southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa. We had several different EF1 tornadoes confirmed right near Spring Valley in the Riceville and then just south of Mason City. But the main tornado with this outbreak was in Teope with an EF2 tornado with estimated wind speeds closing in on 130 to 132 miles per hour.
I wish we could have just watched for 10 more minutes. We thought everything was west of us, so we went to bed, and next thing we know, the bed's shaking. We're trying to put clothes on to come downstairs, and we come to realize that the whole side of the house is gone.
It's a miracle that everybody lived through this. Because if I stayed in my home, I wouldn't be here.
And the goal of the First Alert Weather Team here at KTTC is to continue to provide this type of weather coverage for years to come.